name is Ariana Garcia,
I'm Octavia Anthony.
and we will be your moderators for tonight. So the Youth Vote is an organization that branched off of Compton Kidz Club with the main focus of social and environmental justice. However, along with this, we have a big priority of getting the 16 and 17-year-olds out there pre-registering to vote. So by the time that they're 18, they will be informed and registered voters.
In the last mayoral election, there were 45,000 registered voters, but only 5,000 voted. The city council won by 1,000 votes, and the school board only had 923 voters. Our goal is to increase the number of voters, especially with the youth.
So yeah, let's get started. You know, we're young, we're the youth, we want to do things a little different from other debates. We're going to start off with the trivia, a Compton trivia. Basically, how this works is we're going to ask a couple of questions. You guys can go ahead, raise your hand. Whoever raises their hand first gets to answer. If the question is incorrect, hopefully it's not, we'll move on to whoever wants to go ahead and answer it. And once that question is answered correctly, we'll move on to the next one. There's only 5 questions, don't be nervous.
Okay, first question. This one should be super easy. What is the tallest building in Compton?
It would be the courthouse.
We didn't even
Oh, I'm
pick you.
sorry. I jumped the gun already?
He's wrong.
He's wrong? Good job. Okay, cool. Okay, this one's not that easy. Hopefully we'll have as many hands. Who were the first 3 mayors of Compton? Go ahead.
3 guys that I don't know.
I definitely have the first 2, which is Douglas Dollar High and then Doris Davis. The third one, I'm sorry, the first mayors.
Yeah.
Ever. Wow. No, they got me there. I'm stumped.
Help us out.
So nobody knows?
Does anybody in here know?
I mean, we know.
$20. 30?
Just give me an answer.
Okay, first answer is A. Albert Leroy, Clifton Stanwood Smith, and Dickinson. You guys didn't know.
Nobody? No.
No, we can't. Well, I believe you guys will know this next answer though. Who were the first Black male and female mayors of Compton? Yeah, who was first?
Douglas Dollarhide and Davis Davis.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. This one might be a little hard. Okay. Who was the director of Compton's Community Arts Academy?
Whoa.
Fred Martin.
Great question.
Speak it into existence. My next.
$20? No? Okay. So the answer is John Autobridge. He was the director.
And the last question is something you guys should definitely know. When was Compton founded?
1888.
You want to give us the date too? Anybody know the date?
May, I think in May or June.
Good.
May?
May 12th, right?
May 11th.
Oh, that was good.
Good job, guys.
You guys wasn't playing about not pitching any easy balls. Huh? These are all hard balls right here.
We said it was going to be easy for our future people.
That's
So-
why you're here to keep us on our toes.
Right.
Okay, so that was it. It was just a little trivia to clear the air out because we want zero tension. The key word of tonight is respect. Respect within each other, you guys, respect within the audience and the candidates, just for everyone. The key word is respect. Before we get into it, we want to bring up a couple of housekeeping rules. We always gotta have those. So We do want to let everybody know that these questions that we're about to ask are completely confidential between me and my beautiful partner Octavia. Let me see some other stuff we gotta talk about. We are not here to attack any candidates. We're doing this because we care, because we think that people should know with the topics that we're going to bring up, and we're just really excited to have you guys on here. And the last thing is, we did reach out to every single candidate running for mayor, as well as the District 2 candidates. However, the people here tonight are the beautiful candidates that decided to join us today. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello, thank you everyone. First, I'd just like to say to the Kidz Club, I'm very excited. This is our first in-person debate minus the Zoom, so it took the younger generation, so thank you guys for putting this together. I'm deeply honored to be here. But I'm Anthony Perry. I'm your candidate for Compton mayor, and I'm a school teacher right here in Compton. I'm also a parent right here in Compton. I believe in working with the youth. I believe in working with our senior citizens, and I also believe in working with all of our community members. I am an active parent in our Parent and Teacher Association. I am the African American Parent Advisory Committee Chairman. I'm also a volunteer for the City of Compton. I'm also a youth basketball coach at Gonzalez Park. And it's very important that I highlight that I'm very involved with our youth and at our city. I also hold a bachelor's degree in business, and that has prepared me to work for the city to prepare our businesses and to help improve our businesses. I have a master's degree in science, and that has prepared me to help build our infrastructure, as my specialization is in international development. Before teaching, I worked for a Fortune 500 company where we have generated over $200 billion a year. So I very know about finance, accounting, and these practices will help me balance our city's budget and get us out of our deficit. I also reach out to our community members. I reach out to our second chance constituents, and I don't like to call them felons because these are members of our city that are striving for a second chance. And it's important that as your next mayor that we have someone that uplifts every single person. Many politicians and elected officials only care about those that are registered voters. So I'm glad that the youth is getting the 16 to 17-year-olds to really pre-register to vote. So when you're 18, you're ready. And I truly believe a united Compton to move forward, we must empower and elevate and work with all of our constituents. And so I ask for everyone's support and vote. And I'm Anthony Perry, your candidate for Compton mayor. Thank you.
That's tough to follow up. My name is Rodney Lister, and I'm candidate for mayor of City of Compton. I've been a resident of City of Compton since 1966. First job with City of Compton at the age of 14 was at Lewis Park Love Pool. I attended Pepperdine University, got my bachelor's in political science, and I came back after graduation and began working for the City of Compton full-time in 1987, the same year. After that, I worked 4 years here, went to City of Inglewood, City of Las Vegas. My entire work history has been in local government. I think that's one of the things that gives me the advantage or insight into why I want to be a mayor, from working from inside the organization, from public works projects to finance, to human resources, to housing, being familiar with those type of activities. While in Las Vegas, I earned my master's in public administration, and I moved back to California. My mother was ill, moved back to California, and at that time, wasn't really liking what I was seeing. I was going to City of Compton. I announced in 2017 that I was going to run for mayor. For me, it didn't matter who was currently the mayor. My thing was something had to change. Seeing the infighting that was constantly happening between council members and the mayor and vice versa. Seeing the public that was beginning to feel disenfranchised, like no one cared about them. The projects that were already proposed never being completed. The budget deficit continually growing, and people feeling like No one's listening to them when they're asking questions, what's going on, what's happening? And I said, I want to get involved. So the first thing I did was I approached Compton College and I got them appointed to their bond oversight committee that handles all the bonds for all the projects that they're doing, to get familiar with that from the inside looking out. Then I started attending all the city council meetings. I got a better idea of what's going on within the city. Why aren't our streets being improved? Why are our parks not kept up? Why are youth programs declining? Why don't we have a youth employment training program like they had when I was coming through? And I said, I want to get involved. I want to run and become mayor because these are things I like to see Compton have. We turned into a Compton used to be a place where you can go and go roller skating, go bowling, take your family out to eat, things of that nature, making Compton a place where you don't have to leave the city for entertainment. And for that reason and other reasons, I decided that I want to run because I've been here forever. I realized how great Compton used to be, and it made me sad to see that it wasn't the same way that way anymore. I believe I can bring cohesion, unity. I believe I have the ability to humble myself to work with other individuals. And most importantly, understanding it's not about me. It's about the city of Compton. The mayor only has one vote. But if I don't get along with this individual running for this seat, or that individual in that seat, nothing I propose or support will ever move forward, and Compton stays the same city. 5 people not getting along, and in 4 years, we will still get the same question. Why isn't this fixed? Why is this the same situation? I believe I bring that experience and the drive desire to make that happen. And that's why I'm running to be mayor of Compton. Thank you.
Hi everybody, how are you guys doing? Good, awesome. I first of all want to thank our 2 moderators. I'm very proud of you because it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. And I want to thank Fred and your entire team and everybody here because, and my opponents and our 2 candidates, because it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot to be here, and we all went out of our way somehow to be in this place today. So first of all, I want to thank everybody and let you all know that I love each and every one of you, and I'm proud of everybody because everybody here, everybody viewing this online is here because we all love Compton and we all want to see a better city because we all deserve it. Not only do we deserve it, but we pay for it because we have the highest property taxes, the highest sales tax, and highest fees at City Hall. So we pay for this and we deserve better. The reason why I am running for mayor is because the struggle is real. I don't have to sit here and tell each and every one of you our issues because we live here. We were raised here. Our parents have been here. Our grandparents have been here. And the struggle continues to be real in the city of Compton. I never had the intention of running, especially not now. I got in the race very last minute. I decided to run literally in December and we had to file in January. So to make a long story short, I'm running for mayor because I've been active in Compton politics. It's not new to me. I've served the city of Compton in many capacities. And I always thought when I was younger that I was gonna grow up to see Compton better. And all the issues that I grew up with in Compton are still here. And that is why I'm running, because I'm eager to get the results that we've all been paying for. And sorry, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Let me introduce myself. So I am Christian Reinaga. I am running for mayor, and I'm asking each and every one of you to please consider me, consider voting for me, consider supporting me, because I'm here to get results and be the difference that we all deserve. My slogan is a better Compton together, because the only way we can have a better Compton is not going to be through me, it's not going to be through anybody, it's going to be a collective effort, through unity, through love and forgiveness, because there's a lot of division in the city of Compton. I mentioned that I'm not new to Compton politics. I've served as a commissioner for the city. I am currently the vice chair of the Community Relations Commission, and I'm also the vice chair of the Compton Taxpayer Committee. I'm a full-time real estate agent and an entrepreneur in the city of Compton. I'm a homeowner. I was blessed by the grace of God to purchase my first home. I chose to stay here in Compton. And my family came to Compton in 1980. They immigrated to Compton from Sinaloa, Mexico. And I'm just here to be the difference. I'm here to be the change that we all need. I'm here to bring unity. The mayor is the mayor for the entire city. Council has, different districts, but my job as mayor is to listen to every resident, to listen to every concern, and to unite the city so that we can all move forward. Thank you.
So first, I'd like to say thank you to the Compton Kidz Club, the Performing Arts Fred, for hosting this wonderful forum and debate. It's been in COVID, again, like you said, I think we haven't been able to do this in person much, so I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Andre Spicer, Andre Hill City Dre Spicer. I am a lifelong resident. I represent 3 of 5 generations here in the city of Compton. I am a community activist, I'm a community liaison, and an entrepreneur. I own 3 different businesses in this specific district. I don't just own 3 regular businesses, I own a radio station. I chose to get a radio station, an internet radio station, because I wanted to change the images of Compton. Everywhere I went, people say, you don't look like, walk like, talk like, dress like, or move like what Compton is, and that was always based on a stereotype. So I started a radio station so we can have our own platforms, so we can tell our own stories, because Compton stories aren't told by Compton people. So that's why I started the radio station. I also have a water store. Obviously, we need water. It's an essential part of life. I looked at situations like Flint, Michigan, and I didn't want my city to be in those types of situations. So I took action. Me and my wife own a natural hair salon. It's a hair salon that builds up the African American people that make them feel great about their hair, feel great about themselves. It's to build them up personally, and something that me and my wife started. So those are the 3 different businesses I own. I've been through the Hub Radio, I've hosted several community events. We brought the community together 4 times a year, 3 times for 3 years straight, pre-COVID. We also hosted the Compton Christmas Parade, the after parties. I also hosted backpack giveaways, food giveaways, mentorship programs with the youth, teaching them how to do their own podcasts, again, so they can tell their own stories. And most recently, I've been a liaison for Councilwoman Chambers in District 1. So I've done everything already that you would be asking me to do here in District 2. I've already helped clean up the streets, trim trees, repave roads, clean up graffiti. I understand how important it is to clean up graffiti because I am from the community. So I know graffiti on the wall just isn't a mess. It also speaks a language to someone. And sometimes that language is a language of destruction. So it's very important that we tackle situations like that. Also, get my hands dirty. There's a lot of alleys that have been that look really bad in the city of Compton, especially in my neighborhood in District 2. So I organized a group of residents to volunteer their own time to help clean up alleys. So we cleaned up several alleys in District 2 and District 4 before our volunteer group got hired on as the official cleanup crew of the city. So the work that you would be asking me to do in Compton, I've already done. And I'm just here to step up to the next level and continue to serve my community. That's why I'm running for District 2, City of Compton. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for putting this forum on. I greatly appreciate it. When I was 10 years old, I was a non-reader. I didn't know how to read. My grandmother understood that. So she brought me to church with her one day, which I dreaded going to. And she asked me to sound out the word Jesus. After I did that, she and her friends prayed with me. And you fast forward 4 years later, do you know that I was walking across my high school graduating stage delivering the valedictorian address? That's what hope does. Hope also speaks to people. I've had conversations with your grandparents, your parents, your aunties, and they all agreed that it is time for a change here in the city of Compton. So they asked me to do them a solid to run for office. And I've answered that call, and that's why I'm here today. We agreed that it's time that we clean up our cemeteries, respect the final resting places for those who have done their work here on earth. It is time that we clean up our streets. I'm a runner. You know how often I've ran across our streets and I run across dirty drug needles? We want to clean up our city so that we can attract new homeowners my age and bring their families. We want to attract new businesses, and we do that by making sure Compton looks as beautiful as the people. We also want to make sure that we clean up our finances. There's no need for us to be in this type of debt. That's why we need to make sure that we put places in order to make sure that we find out what the issues are in our finances and stop it from happening moving forward. It's important that we put people in a place to make sure we understand finances. Just how someone may say to you, this is a credit card. When you use this credit card, understand that you must pay it back. So, you use your credit card, you haven't paid off your balance yet. Then someone else comes along and say, hey, I'm gonna give you $100, and you spend that $100 on everything else except for paying off that credit card. Well, that's debt. And that's kind of how local government works. We need someone that understands that process and that's willing to teach it to all of you. That's why it is important that we clean up City Hall. We clean up City Hall because we want to put programs in place that's going to teach you life skill courses, kind of like what I just taught you now. We need programs in place that's going to teach you how local government works, how to pay your bills, balance a budget, how to file your taxes. That's important. I wish at 16 I knew that. I wish at 18 I properly knew that. That's what I want to do. And I want to make sure that your grandparents are taken care of. It is important that we structure our senior activities here in the city of Compton. And I want to advocate to do that. I'm able to speak directly to you because I have a bachelor's degree in speech communications. I wanted to comprehend how to relay my message to people. I have a master's in mental health counseling because I wanted to understand emotional intelligence. I wanted to not take everything so personal. And you know, being young, sometimes we do that, right? And also a PhD in mental health and human behavior studies from a theological seminary school, and currently a PhD student at another university. But why a theological seminary school? I'll tell you. Because I believe part of my life's mission is to bridge the gap between our young people and a higher power. How else to do that without learning from the youth and learning our spirituality? I am Jace Dawson, your candidate for Compton City Council, District 2. And I'm asking for you to ask your parents, your friends, your aunties, your uncles, those who said they're not going to vote, because this election is important. Jace Dawson, mental health professional, #1 on your ballot. And I look forward to an educational conversation about moving Compton forward.
Okay guys, thank you so much. You guys all sound so wonderful. So before we get into the questions, we are just gonna put up a reminder right here that for the questions, we're gonna give you guys 90 seconds to answer them. However you choose, you use that time wisely, and then if at any moment or any question you feel like you have something important and respectful to say, we will be giving 30 seconds as the rebuttal time. So let's get into it. Okay, we have learned 4 words that can help anyone become successful. Tell me a story. Everyone loves a story. And besides all the stories that you guys have told us, because I know everyone here loves Compton, everyone here wants to change Compton, tell me, why are you running for mayor or councilman, and what makes you different than all the other candidates sitting here?
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. One reason why I'm running for mayor is, to be quite frankly, is I was a constituent that was just pissed off. I'm probably one of the very newest ones to politics. I've been in politics for about 3 years, and so I've seen a problem, and I decided to address it. Being in the classroom, one thing I'm working with my students right now and adding fractions. And so it's important that we motivate. And as your next mayor, I will motivate. Everyone has a skill set. Just like I tell all my children, you're very intelligent. You just have to bring it out. And as their teacher, I just help bring it out for them. And as your next mayor, I will work with the council, whoever's elected, all the city leaders, and I will motivate them. I will help keep them focused. And as your next mayor, I will unite us, because if a council is divided, that means the city suffers. And we do not want that. And as your next mayor, I will motivate the other leaders to ensure that you have the best representation in Compton. Thank you.
Rodney Lister. At the age of 14, my mother told me, "You're getting a job." I'm like, why? I want to play in the summertime. Summertime, you get the job. She took me to the Summer Youth Employment Training Program, JTPA program, signed me up. My first job was working as a locker room attendant at Luders Park. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but then I started making money. This is nice. Wow, you're earning stuff. And I started seeing the permanent employees that work there and seeing how they moved and how they were working with one another. And at the end of the summer, I got offered a job to come back next summer and be a city employee. And that motivated me. That made me think, wow, I can learn about how people work, I can get paid, and I started realizing if I want to do what they do, I've got to go to college. My mother and father were there, they encouraged me, but I saw it happening. I saw people that looked like me working in the workforce, and I said, I want to do that. Years go by, and the programs that we had when I was a kid in Compton aren't there anymore. And I said, why aren't these programs here on top of other things? I wanted to run to be mayor because I want to be involved, the opportunity to bring back the things that I had growing up in Compton to the next generation. Youth employment, the ability to learn and see people like you, be like you, and want to be like them. Hope we can motivate them to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm running for mayor because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm tired of us not having the results we deserve and pay for. My family came from Mexico. I was raised by a single mother. I was raised in poverty. I come from very humble beginnings, and it's not fair, just like a lot of us, the struggle is real for everybody. We have different struggles, but at the end of the day, we all struggle in some way. So it's just not fair that we're struggling. It's not fair that when my mom came to Compton in the 80s, the issues that she dealt with are still here. And it's like 40 years later, and they're still here. And if we don't do anything about it, our children are going to go through that. Our great grandkids are going to go through that. So I'm running to be the difference that we all have been waiting for. I'm here to get results, and I'm here to pay respect to our seniors and people like my mom and your aunties who have been suffering through the potholes and everything we've been going through. They've been going through this for 40, 50, 60 years, some of them 70. So I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for you, and I'm also doing this for the next generation. My nephew just turned 4. Time flies. Pretty much he's gonna be 8 years old if I get elected by the time I'm done with my term. I remember when I was 8 years old in Compton, so I'm running so that when my nephew turns 8 years old, he can have a beautiful Compton to remember, not the Compton that I lived through when I was 8 years old. What makes me different is that I'm not supposed to run for office. I'm not a politician, I'm a servant. I'm here to make things different. I'm here to be the answer, and I'm here to stop the neglect. We've all been neglected by City Hall. So I'm here to be that difference. Thank you.
As a radio and media personality, last 8 to 10 years, I have personally interviewed everybody running for office as a mayor, as a council person, as a clerk, as a city attorney. I've interviewed them all over the last 10 years. And as a media personality, you want to be non-biased, and that's the way you want to come off. Well, and I've done that for several election seasons. In the last election season, I realized that I've interviewed so many people that come to Compton because it's a stepping stone to start your political career. Because people don't come out to vote, because people aren't engaged. And I see people come and lie to my face in interviews. And I was tired of it. I had been in this community my entire life, and I couldn't stand by and be non-biased anymore because I'm being affected at this point. So I decided, I've been putting in the work. I've done the work. I've served my community consistently with a good heart, and didn't expect anything back. So it was time for me to step up and fill those shoes to actually, represent the city. And I also looked at who was running this election cycle in my district, and I just wasn't happy with the characters. No one in particular, it's just that none of those people I wasn't familiar with, and the ones that was hadn't been doing anything in my community. So I wanted to be that voice. I wanted to be that person and step up and fill that void. Some of the things that I experienced as a kid 25 years ago, my child experienced today. So there's still people living in the alley. There's still life in the alley. There's still abandoned buildings. There was an abandoned building when I was 10. There's an abandoned building down the street, 10. There's prostitution and
We're gonna move on a little bit, a little past your time, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's my 30 seconds. 30 seconds, thank you.
Thank you for your question. So here's why I'm running. Who here has ever been bullied in their lives? Raise your hand. A great number of you. There are seniors in our community that have been bullied by those who call themselves leaders in our community. They asked me to step up to the plate because of the respect that I showed for them, right? I'm currently being bullied in the process of this election, right? I am running to be a leader on the city council because it is high time that someone shows our young people what to do in the face of a bully. It is high time that we see a living example of how people react during the worst times of their lives, when you're being abused emotionally, right? When people are smearing your name. We had that in the 5th grade. We had that in high school. And unfortunately, as adults, we still have that. I'm running because it is time that we have someone that's going to show love, respect, and unity here in the city of Compton. Someone that's going to put you first every step of the way. Respecting our seniors, teaching, listening, and yes, respecting our youth. That is important because I was 14 once. I remember being told that I would never amount to anything because of the issues that I faced being a non-reader. I had to go and find myself, and I found myself through arts, right? I had to go explore singing and theater, and I want to make sure that you all have that same opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And yeah, this timer is gonna be on the screen the whole time, just so we don't have to keep interrupting you guys because we don't like doing it. Moving on to the next question. So a lot of us know about the potholes, we know about Compton stereotypes, we know about all of that. You know, the question just becomes, what is your plan? How are you gonna do it? We know you wanna do it. Everybody wants it. I want change, she wants change, but it's like, how are we gonna do it? So the question is, Compton is in a $113 million deficit. What is your plan to fix that? How are you going to fix that?
Great question.
Thank you for that question. So what I plan to do is put forth a watchdog committee. A committee that's made primarily of the residents. Why? Because you guys wouldn't let us get away with anything. And I want you to hold my feet to the fire. I want you to hold me accountable. I think that that is important. We need a proper check and balances here in the city of Compton, especially on our finances. It is also important that we put a purchasing department in play that is going to look at all of the contracts that are coming here to our city, making sure that the persons who are getting the contract to do the work in our city are actually doing it and getting the job done. People in the 2nd District are not satisfied with the current contracts that are being handed out because the work is not getting done. So it is time we put someone in place that's going to make sure that we focus on our finances and we focus on making sure the future of our city is secure. And we do that by focusing on our finances. Thank you for that question.
So, first thing is that the debt isn't quite $113 million. It's been rumored to be that. We need more research to find exactly what that number is, and we'd like to do some, to see the actual numbers ourselves. One thing that we have to do is be transparent about all of our bills. Let's be transparent about our finances. Let's update our website, make sure that the community knows exactly what we're spending our money on and how it's being spent. Those things aren't being done. Our website is a little hard to navigate for the average citizen, and we're not being updated with our finances on a regular basis. As a city council person, it's not my job to actually balance the budget. That's really more of a treasurer question on how we're going to reduce the debt. But as a council person, I'm pushing the issue that we are very transparent about our budget and everything is online so that our constituents can find out what's going on.
So as Dre mentioned, some people say it's 113 million, somebody said it was 144 million. I heard it's 16 million. I'm not sure what the actual deficit is, and none of us are, and that's the problem. We don't know what the deficit is, but I don't care how big or small it is, the fact that we are at least over $1 million in a deficit is a serious concern. So I do have a plan on how we're gonna address it, no matter how big or small. I do wanna share with each and every one of you that we will be okay. We've survived way worse situations, so I know it's very concerning when you hear your city's in a deficit, and we're gonna be okay, which is why it's important that, you know, we elect the right people. But what I'm gonna do as mayor is I'm gonna listen. All you have to do is listen to Betty Yee, who's the state controller. She literally tells us what to do, what to fix. We have so many accounting issues in the city of Compton. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna listen to the experts. Second, I'm gonna form a financial solvency coalition. This coalition will be made up of professionals, public and private sector, where we're gonna come together, figure out what the real deficit is, what are the issues, what mistakes did we make the past 20 years, why are we here right now? First, you have to recognize that you have a problem. Then you focus on the solution. So number one, we're gonna see where are we. I'm gonna be very transparent and let every resident know what the real deficit is, and then let you know what the plan is. And we're gonna listen to the experts, like I said, and move forward, and we'll be okay. Number three, we need to put business, can I have 20 more seconds? This is a very important question. This is talking about money, our money, your money. So let me just summarize it with this. My solution is we need to put business before pleasure. The city of Compton spends so much money on pleasure, on just unnecessary spending. So you have to treat the city like a business. I'm a businessman. I'm in real estate. I understand finances. I understand numbers. Numbers do not lie. All you have to do is put the numbers together and the budget should balance. And as Dre mentioned, you know, we have treasurers, we have controllers, that's their job. So if they're not doing their job right, then we have to replace them with somebody who will. And I will say that I would love to talk to anybody else about it, because deficit is a very serious concern, and if elected, it will be my priority. And my hope will be that in 4 years, we will be in a surplus. And I will share that I remember in 2013, the city was about to go bankrupt. You know,
Yeah,
so,
we gotta
okay,
move
sorry.
Thank you.
Before you start the clock, can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry. The question was, how would I address the deficit, correct?
Yes, like, what's
Okay.
your plan?
I'm ready to go. Okay, you start that out. First and foremost, the first thing I'm gonna do, when you don't know where the money is, you gotta find out where the money is. I'm gonna bring you in an outside independent firm that does forensic accounting with the support of my council members to find out all the money that we're pulling in, federal money, state money, grants, sales tax, all the money we're spending, payroll, pension, law enforcement, contracts that are already in place, and how much we have left over that we are either saving or paying off old debt. You can't move forward if you have no idea of what money you're spending. And Compton has a history of blank check spending. Once you identify what's going on, then we will develop a plan on how to repay that old debt, maintain services, and at the same time expand any programs if we have the ability. For the first couple of years, whoever is mayor or council, they're gonna be tasked with lean living. No more steak every day. Might be ground beef for a while. But as long as you're eating, you're gonna be okay. It's like saving for a house. I can't go out all the time. I wanna buy a house, but in 2 years, I'm back out there. Identifying what's going on with the money. Perfect example, you said 113 million. You say 16 million. I've heard so many figures, the only way I'll know the actual figure is to find out for myself, along with my council members. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's important that we address this issue for the short term and the long term. That's why I will create a small business development department, because we must build our small businesses, because those are the companies that generate the sales tax. In this small business development department, we will be able to go in these small businesses that may be struggling or need help or would like to move forward, and we can provide them SWOT analysis, and that's business terms, identifying their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, their threats, and we can give them advice. We can give them a direction so they can help build their business. And then once we help build their business, more customers is buying their products, buying their services, more tax generate for the city. And this one, it gets good because this plan of mine actually is going to address two issues. Those increased tax dollars, I propose taking 10% of those dollars, and then we invest 5% into our roads and 5% of that into our infrastructure and our debt. And so it's very important that we don't just cover this problem up now, but it's also important that it doesn't happen in the future. So we must protect and invest in our small businesses because that's generating our tax revenue. And then we got to save those percentages to pay down our debt and to fix our roads. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is open to a 30-second rebuttal.
Okay, and this is the perfect example of how individuals have different views economically. One might be a growth person. Hey, I want to help small business to pull more money in so we can pay it down that way. I might be more conservative. Let me find out what's going on first so I know how much I can spend across the board. When you're looking at who you want to elect for mayor or council, you need to be mindful of what type of individual mindset do they have. I can't say Mr. Perry is incorrect and mine is right, or vice versa. We just have different ways of viewing that situation. I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Any other rebuttals?
I will share and commend Mr. Lister. That's a great, I love what he said. We all have a different approach and there's no right or wrong answer. So what I would do if elected, or even if I'm not elected, is whoever's elected, I'm gonna meet with him or her and let them know, here's my solution, here's my approach, and let's all come together. Because we have so many issues in the city of Compton, and I strongly believe on the mayoral race, there's 10 candidates, and every candidate is awesome in some way. We all have great ideas. If these 10 candidates, including myself, if we all come together after this election, sit down and work together, this city in 4 years will be the best city in the United States of America.
This isn't a rebuttal, this is more of a request. Is anybody else cold in here? I'm freezing. Am I right up under the vent? I'm like, yo,
You actually are.
man. I'm sorry, guys. It is cold, right? I was trying to stay manly over here. I'm like, man, I'm over here freezing, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
Any other requests? Okay.
Okay, oh my gosh. On that note, we'll move on to the next question. Talking about money, the property taxes in Compton are pretty high. We can all agree, yeah. Okay, I just want to know, what is your plan of action to that?
Let me answer that first. I've had this question a few times. So obviously we have an issue with our property taxes. Truth of the matter is our property taxes aren't going anywhere. We're gonna have these property taxes. What we have to do is we have to demand what we pay for, and that's the issue. So I've talked to a lot of people in the district, and they're saying, well, can you at least trim my trees? And just imagine you go to a fancy restaurant and you order a dinner, and they bring you the bill before they bring you the food, and then you just say, can I at least get my drink? It doesn't even make sense, right? So we have to demand to get what we pay for, and that is my job, to make sure that we get the basic needs that we are actually paying for. Yeah, that answers the question there.
Now, I would be foolish to think that I had an answer to everything, but I would assure you that if I don't have the answer to something, then I'm going to find out who does. I'm going to partner with those who have been doing the work in the community for so long. When those are persons who are paying these high property taxes, they are those who are supposed to have the power here in the city. That's another reason why I'm running, to take the power out of the hands of the politicians and place them where they rightfully belong. You, the people. So when you want your trees trimmed, I should probably get out of my bed, but hopefully I'll have a liaison who does it for me to find out when and how long it's gonna take to trim those trees. It is important that we fix these broken sidewalks so that our grandparents can walk accordingly. They can walk with their canes, with their wheelchairs without becoming injured. We are paying the highest taxes in the entire state, and yet we're being treated like we're less than. That's not leading in love. I understand I'm stepping into a position where we have absentee leadership. I understand I'm stepping into a position where decisions were made before I got to the table. Understanding that, I have to sit down at the table with all of you, have conversations about how we're gonna move forward with what we're working with. Together we can figure this out. That's where we went wrong to begin with, where we're not working together.
Candidate Spicer said something that was very accurate and true. Property taxes aren't going anywhere. The property taxes that you're currently paying, you're saddled with. Now, property taxes drop off every 10 years or 20 years, meaning that once you pay that property tax off, it's gone. And in theory, your tax would drop. But what happens is you get a new ballot measure that says, if you approve this bond, your property taxes won't increase. Well, is this replacing a new bond for an old bond? So understanding what property tax bonds are coming down the pipe in the future that we do or don't approve is how we address the property tax issue. All bonds that come from the school district or Compton College or the county or within the city aren't always good because, as we mentioned before, the work is not always done that they say the bond's gonna be for. So what I would do, bonds are composed of four. School bonds, local city government bonds, county bonds, state bonds. A lot of times when your population is not educated on how something works, they don't understand. So what I would do is request a county assessor representative, a state representative, a city, and a school board member come down and identify what's making our bonds so high. Because when you look at your bond, your property tax, it says on each line, what this dollar amount for, so on and so forth. If we understand when that bond's supposed to drop off, then we can get an idea of how we lower our property taxes. Thank you very much.
Yes, my approach when it comes to property taxes, because our taxes is high, we must protect the homeowners. My plan was to increase the property value. It's important because our homeowners and our business owners are some of the biggest contributors to our city. So one of my development plans is to increase more development in our vacant lots and some of our abandoned buildings that can be saved. If we can save them, we save them. If we can't, we're going to tear them down and bring in new developments. And also to ensure no outside developments come in, I have a plan to put together a Compton constituent investment group where we understand that the average constituent can't pay $2 or $3 million to buy the land and to build the building. But I know 30 or 40 of us together can get financed and we can purchase the lot and we can build the infrastructures. And as we build the city, you, the constituents, also win. You get the profits from it. And it's important that our constituents build up. And also, I'd just like to add, when it comes to bonds, our school board, they are elected officials and they are able to put measures on the ballot. And I will say this overall, as your next mayor, I will advocate no against any type of bond, measure, levy that will raise any sales tax or property tax across the board. Thank you.
I wish I had more than 90 seconds because this is a very important question to me. As a real estate agent and as a homeowner in the city, I will start off with saying that I promise, and I'm gonna text Fred so you guys can screenshot this. I promise that I will never, ever increase our property taxes. Whatever I can control, me individually, I will never support a property tax increase because A lot of times, property taxes literally have a lot of negative effect. Even tenants, when the property tax goes up for the landlord's not gonna pay, he's gonna raise the rent. A lot of people wonder, why does LA rent is so high? It's because the property taxes are very high all across. So to make a long story short, my promise and my commitment is to never increase. Unfortunately, it's not easy to decrease. As Dre mentioned, they're here to stay. Another example is the Compton Unified passed 2 years ago a $350 million school bond to rebuild Compton High. I don't know what kind of high school they're gonna build, if they're gonna make the high school made out of gold, but it does not cost $350 million, and that is a debt that we're gonna pay, and maybe our grandchildren will be paying that debt off. So to make a long story short, I agree with Mr. Perry. I will advocate if other politicians or are trying to increase them, I'll be out there. I was out there on the streets campaigning against that measure when it was presented a few years ago, but, sorry, okay.
Thank you guys so much. Do any candidates have additional comments or rebuttals?
I did, a rebuttal, but I also want to say that Compton is known for taxing its citizens. We will tax you for your water bill, we will tax you on your property taxes, we're gonna tax you on parking on your grass when the street sweeping is coming, we're gonna tax you in any kind of way possible. I even have a couple friends that the city was trying to put a lien on their house for a crack in their granite in their kitchen on the counter, and it's little things like that. We constantly go after the citizens. We make most of our money off the citizens, when in fact a lot of property owners on Compton and Long Beach Boulevard go without, they ignore, keep taking care of their own property. And those are the people that we actually need to go after first, to make sure that at least the eyesores are taken away off of the major thoroughfares in the city of Compton.
So briefly on the issue of taxing, what that essentially means is that the city is charging your family for work that they don't do. They're charging you for brown water, they're charging you for cracked roads, right? And you're not getting the pleasure. So I'm just advocating today that you tax back at the ballot box. And I'm Jason Dawson, #1 on your ballot.
In regards to the property tax, as Christian, and I always mispronounce your last name, so I always just say Christian, no disrespect. Saying it wrong would be disrespectful, but on top of what he said, when Mr. Perry said, I'm also not in favor of approving any replacement bonds. And that's what happens more often than not, especially from the state level. So when you read your next bond initiative, if it says this will not increase your property tax, it's just a bond that's replacing a bond that's gonna fall off. And if that doesn't get approved, then you will save a couple $100 or not more each year, because it's trading new money for old money.
So sorry, so he's mentioning bonds. So essentially, usually when we mention bonds, we're talking about money. If we haven't paid off old debt, we're getting new debt, and then we're staying in current debt. That's how I break it down when I teach the life skill courses, when we're talking about government, because I understand that everyone don't know what a bond is. I understand that, so I want to do the best that I can to be transparent with everyone across the board.
I just want to make sure we know everyone gets 1 30-second rebuttal so that it's all fair and we can move very fastly. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go into a couple of questions that have to do with our environment, because we care. So the first one has to do with brown water. For many years, houses have been struggling with brown water. I know it's gotten better, but houses today still are struggling with it, and it's horrible, it's not right. So what do you plan to do about that? How are you gonna assure that every house will have clean water?
This is an infrastructure issue. It's an infrastructure issue that we have been ignoring for a while now. So this is something that we have to constantly work towards, building our infrastructure up. The brown water issue that we have in Compton is a result, obviously, of us not getting things done. So we have this debt. We have a grants department that doesn't bring in as much money as they possibly can. So we can use our grants department, kind of streamline our grant department, make sure that they're getting more grants written up so we can get more money in to fix these structural issues, as opposed to taxing the citizens on bonds or school taxes.
So infrastructure, streets, you know, the land that your house sit on, water pipes that give you the fresh and clean water that you need, right? So there was an assessment done, meaning that somebody came into our city, they looked at our pipes and said work needed to be done. 12 years ago, 10 years ago, they brought that to the council and said, hey, you should fix these pipes. They are going to give in, or you're gonna have an emergency and then you will not be able to handle that emergency. Well, the city council didn't listen to that report, and there was a fire 3 weeks ago. My home was affected by that fire. My neighbors and the local businesses were affected by that fire because the water pressure was so slow and then eventually stopped altogether. For nearly 4 hours, Compton burned because we had absentee leadership who did not listen to the entities who did the research to say that your infrastructure, your pipes, where your houses sit on needs work. I want to make sure that we're testing our fire hydrants. I want to make sure that assessments are being done and that we're staying on top of these structural issues so that we can prevent a disaster like that from happening to your family in the future. You want a business one day. You want a home in the city of Compton one day. And we want to prevent this from happening to those who are going to move here, who are going to vote. We want to make sure that we're all taken care of, and we do that starting now.
Yes, this definitely goes into our infrastructure. And it is also very important as we're rebuilding our roads, is that make sure all of our piping and everything up under our roads, whether it's some of our wiring, all of those aspects are being taken care of. Because what may happen, we may fix this road and let's say a home is having a very problem. Now we gotta dig up this street, tear it back up, and then they're just gonna patch it back together. Now, that's one issue that we got to address to fix our infrastructure. In the meantime, it's important that we bring in water boxes so our constituents are able to have fresh, clean water if they are affected by this. The Think Watch program right next door in Watts, they had a very big initiative with the same problem. We all want to say we want to fix it day one, but the fact of the matter is that we're broke. And as we're in the process of fixing it, it's important that we have a supplemental water supply that where constituents can go to get free, clean, filtered water. Thank you.
Something that's been mentioned regarding how the city of Compton might not have the best grant writers. The president just recently proposed legislation for a $2 trillion nationwide infrastructure program where cities and states throughout the nation that have crumbling infrastructure are now able to get funds to fix that and using local residents to do the work. But Compton won't get its fair share if we don't have the right people in place that know how to go after those funds. Grant writers or staff that's knowledgeable of these type of things. If I were mayor, when I become mayor, I would like to have a person identified, their sole job is to seek out new grants across the board that does everything. Because until we get our financial picture right, we have to go after those funds, those other sources on top of donations. But the water issue is important because at some point in time, a major line will break. And we can't afford to have residents going days. We see it happening all the time in Los Angeles because the pipes are 100+ years old. And as we learned earlier, Compton was formed when?
1888.
Years next to our line's gotta be kind of old to the same point also. And when it breaks, it's gonna be a major issue and we're gonna have to do something to get that rectified. So going after that grant money, once it comes down, is key. Thank you.
Great question, and it is a very concern. We already have bad water in Compton. I personally have had my water in my home tested, and the water is very hard. If you're not familiar with the term hard water, Our water is exceeding the state of California. There's certain chemicals, I don't know the exact term, but we already exceed the amount that we're allowed. In my opinion, the water is brown. They put chemicals to make it look nice and so that it won't smell. So what I'm gonna do on day one is ask that we have full inspections of all our wells, every single pipe. We need to bring in a third party, somebody who's not biased, because politics gets in the way. A lot of our politicians don't want to say the truth because they don't want to look bad. So I'm gonna come in here on day one, get an inspection, and if we have to, I'll call it for what it is, because I know it's not my fault, you know? A lot of politicians are afraid to share the truth because they feel they're gonna be blamed for it. But what I'm gonna do is you have to really inspect them. You have to be transparent. And I like what Mr. Perry and Lister said. They both say great solutions, and I stand in agreement with those two. And it's definitely, in my opinion, a state of emergency. We already have bad water quality, is the truth. And maybe the city should invest in water filtration system. We pay so much property taxes. Why doesn't the city provide water filtration system to every single house? So as mayor, I'm willing to open that, and if we have to invest, I'll be more than happy to do it, because water is a basic human right.
We're not gonna have rebuttals for this question, only to move forward with time, but thank you everyone for your answers. Next question is still in environmental. We see everywhere in Compton trash. Everywhere you can walk in the parks, there's trash. Walk down the street, there's trash. In front of homes, there's trash. And we as Compton Kids Club, the Youth Vote, we came up with our little plan of taking unused land in Compton and having like a dumping facility or a junkyard or somewhere to put that trash so that our streets aren't looking dirty and dingy. But you don't have to use that plan. What is your plan, or what are you going to do to make sure that our streets are looking nice?
No, thank you. It's funny, but I have a plan similar to that. We talked about it in one of our last debates. But I do propose temporary, and I want to emphasize on temporary until we get our services back up to pick up our trash and our bulk pickup. But I do propose a temporary dumping site where we got big bins where constituents do not have to do illegal dumping. They don't have to just dump it in the alley. They don't have to just put it in the truck and just dump it out late at night. These are pieces of property that they can go and dump their garbage. And also, we want to promote it. We want to let the constituents know, you can go to this location if you have junk, if you have an old refrigerator or a couch. And so it's very important that we have temporary dumping sites until we get our services under control and we can start picking up the trash on a more frequent basis. Thank you.
I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I agree with that idea. And primarily because in where I live, the dumping that's illegal tends to be because residents' trash cans get overfilled. Perfect example, I was going to get my mother an additional brown trash can. I said, Mom, I'll just pay for it. I called the city and they said the second trash can was $18 a month. I'm like, well, why is it $18 a month forever, not $18 a month until it's paid off? So a lot of times, some households can't afford that additional $18 on top of whatever fees they're paying for sewer and water anyway, so they don't have room in the one trash can. Maybe they have a full-size house in there, so they generate a lot of debris. So what happens is, someone puts it in the car, drives somewhere where they think there are no cameras, and they drop it. And most times, unfortunately, it's neat. It's in the bag. It's not just thrown out there. So I will look into why is that second trash can so expensive, because if it's cost prohibitive, you're not going to pay for it. You just take your chance being caught. So looking at that and looking at enforcing the current contract we have for the companies that are under contract to pick up debris when it's reported. So the idea that you had regarding an area to drop debris, the trash bins, and those other two things, because it's a collective issue, and organizing volunteers. Because we all care about Compton. It's been illustrated. Go out there and help clean up ourselves.
Thank you.
So I love that idea, and may I just say yes, and part of the beautification plan that I have for the city of Compton is to actually have an actual company, or a group of us, right, weekly, bi-weekly, go to the homes and throughout the district and pick up those bulky items so that we can properly organize them. People look at Compton as a trash city. Compton, we are not trash. And it's important that we partner with organizations that I'm a part of, like the Sunrise Movement. It is important that we have tests done to make sure our soil is healthy enough for us. We have companies here, let me not get started on the oil and gas, that are affecting our health. I'm asthmatic. Some of your children are asthmatic. And it is important that we make sure that we're nurturing our land and that we're making sure that we're moving intelligently when removing the trash from our cities. We need a place to put it, and we need to make sure that people from the outside don't come in dumping on that land, because Compton is not trash. So part of the beautification project is to make sure that it's a constant cleanup effort. It was great in the 90s. It was great in the early 2000s. It will be great again. So that's what I want to see happen moving forward.
So we have to identify where the trash is coming from. And a lot of this is illegal dumping. So we have security cameras all throughout the city of Compton that aren't being used. We need to make sure that these cameras are working. We need to increase the lighting so those people that are dumping illegally are caught. And then once we catch them, once we get it on tape, we can send them fines. Because the reason why they're dumping is because they don't want to pay the dump fine. So we charge them the dump fine for dumping in our community. That's one way. The other way is we address also homelessness, because that's also an issue. That's also an issue as to why our streets are dirty. What we have to do in the city of Compton, we don't have any shelters, all right? The only way you can make living on the street illegal is if you have somewhere for those people to go. We don't have anywhere for those people to go. We don't have any shelters here. And everybody wants a shelter, they just don't want it next door. So we have to identify a location where we can have a shelter at. And I've identified a location off of Alameda, off the Alameda corridor. There's a lot of factories and recycling places over there. It's not as many homes, so that's a place that we could possibly have a shelter. Lastly, it would basically to hold everyone accountable for cleaning up their own area. Again, I'm going back to the businesses on Compton and Long Beach and Rosecrans, holding them accountable for keeping their own locations clean, just like we do our residents. Thank you.
I like your solution. I agree with it. It's not enough. It's part of a solution, but we also need to educate our residents. So I don't know who here knows that every resident in Compton, every quarter, you can call your trash company and you can put 6 items out. They can throw away refrigerators, washers and dryers, cabinets, mattresses. So all you have to do is call the number, they come out on trash day, you put it out and they pick it up. In my opinion, because I've had it where I need it more than once and you could only use it every 3 months. So in my opinion, we need to negotiate our contract and we need to have that service for residents at least once a month. And it should be more than 6 items, because when you're cleaning out your house, sometimes we got more than 6 items. And then second, we need to make sure that we provide more trash bins. We need to make it easy. A lot of the times we don't want to dump stuff. When I'm cleaning out my car, sometimes it's a hassle. There's no trash can. I carry a bag with me in my trunk and I just throw everything and throw it in my trunk. So you go to our parks, there's not even trash bins. So that's why people litter, because it's such a hassle to go find a trash can and throw it in. So it's easier to just throw it. So you got to make it easy for Compton residents to throw it. And then lastly, in real estate, I've heard many people who come to Compton to dump because they don't want to pay the trash dumping fee. They literally, it's known to go to Compton and just dump it. So we need to be very aggressive. We need to have our cameras and we need to ticket them, because most of the big bulky item trash you see is coming from people from other cities.
Okay, so this one is a very straightforward question. Last question on the environment. What is your plan to reopen the parks?
Well, I definitely want to reopen the parks. I'm a coach. Our season got canceled this year, so this is very passionate. Even had parents contact me and say, "Hey, let's work outside and things of that nature." But until we get our COVID-19 under control and the safety, I would not suggest opening up parks until it is safe, because I believe our safety for the long term is most important. We've been going through this pandemic for just over a year, and I truly believe we can wait another 6-7 months. I personally want our parks open. I'm a volunteer. I work at the parks, and it's a very terrible situation. But as your next mayor, I will put safety first, and I will not jeopardize any of our constituents' safety at all. Thank you.
I don't see, I think a bigger issue is we don't have the staff right now to open the parks up. So it's a two-part answer. Am I in favor of opening the parks up? I think we all are, when it's right, when it's safe, when they give us numbers, how many people can attend and all that, most definitely. But we also have the challenge of how do we staff them? Because majority of the park workers were laid off. Now, I don't know what's being done with the cost savings that the city generated from laying people off. The money went somewhere. I don't know, we have the ability to take that money from where it's going now and rehire staff. So it's a two-part answer. Definitely in favor when it's safe, when it's appropriate, and we have to identify how we're gonna pay the new workers. It might not be the same number of staff that we had before. It might not be 100 employees. It might only have to be 50, but you have to staff it and staff it properly, plus put things in place because of coronavirus, sanitation stations and barriers and all that cost money. But once you can figure that out, definitely like to do that.
So, in my opinion, I understand, we gotta be safe, we're in a pandemic, but in my opinion, parks are essential. So I will actually open them up right away as soon as possible. I believe you can open up the parks, but be safe. You can limit the capacity, you can wear masks, you can social distance, but in my opinion, the parks need to be safe because parks provide green space. A lot of us, I don't have a backyard. My backyard is very small, I need green space. A lot of us are vitamin D deficient. A lot of us need this space. So in my opinion, I think parks need to be open. So if elected, I will open up our parks. And I think that we can open them up and follow CDC guidelines and still be safe. Because in my opinion, again, parks are very essential, especially in a community like Compton. We did not have a summer last year. Most of our schools have been closed. A lot of us haven't had social interaction. I'm very grateful we're doing this in person because it's so good to see you all. We've been behind Zooms, so in my opinion, I will respectfully disagree with my two opponents. I will open the parks up as long as we follow CDC guidelines because it's a necessity. Also, our Dollar Heights Senior Center has been closed. We need to open it back up. Some of our seniors need a place to go. We need recreation activities. We need to engage. I think, now at the beginning, we didn't know how bad we didn't know what was going on, but now I really believe we all have an understanding of COVID and we can, move forward in a safe way.
We're gonna let everyone answer the question.
I just need 15 seconds. Christian, you were inaccurate. We both said in accordance with the CDC requirements. We both said we will open it back up following CDC guidelines. I don't want anyone thinking that Mr. Perry or myself said we would open it up regardless of what happened. We both said that. So I just want to clarify that in case somebody out there is listening.
With all due respect, Mr. Perry, please correct me. Did you just not say that you would rather wait another 6 or 7 months? In my opinion, what I was trying to say is I don't want to wait another summer. Summer's already here, pretty much. So I don't want to wait another 7 months to open up our parks. I think they need to be open now. I don't know if I heard wrong. If I did hear wrong, please correct me.
All right, I want to ask this question. So, I do agree with everyone up here. As soon as it's safe, let's get the parks open. As soon as it's legal by the state for us to safely go there, I'm all for opening up the parks. But before we open up the parks, let's make them safe. The parks aren't necessarily safe today, and I'm not talking about safe because of trash, but we also have a lot of we have a lot of our homelessness, our displaced residents that are hanging out at the parks. And some of our parents aren't comfortable with their children being in those environments. We have to understand that, and we have to do something to clean those parks up as well. So I wanted to add that to everything that you guys said. Thank you.
So what are our plans to reopen the parks? First, we need to partner with Los Angeles County. They receive buckets, loads of money constantly, and Compton does not get its fair share, yet we pay the most of any other city in the state. After we identify a budget, it is important that we bring back the staff to monitor our parks and to work in our parks. And then we need a plan, a policing plan, to make sure that our parks are safe 24/7. Hopefully we're hiring directly from our residents here in the city of Compton. Also, when we talk about our houseless neighbors and their displacement, it's important that when we do identify a place for them to go, it has to be safe for them. As a mental health professional, I understand that there's a lot of triggers with those who are sleeping out on the streets in the rain and in the cold. So if you put them next to a factory, a noise could set them off. That might be a trigger. We have to look at the identifying marks for each individual and then move accordingly. But let's find the money, let's partner with the county, let's rehire our staff, primarily our own residents, because we care about how our city looks, right? And then let's accordingly, tactfully, and patiently find a safe outlet for our houseless neighbors.
This next question is for the councilman, but I think both of you have touched on this subject already, but we would like if you guys could go into more. We know that District 2 has a horrible homelessness problem, and we would like to hear more about your solution, and we would like to know what would you do to ensure that that solution is sustainable?
Okay, so I have a pretty extensive plan for homelessness. One, again, we have to identify who our homeless population is. So we have the drug abusers, we have the people that are transitioning from jail to population. We have youth that turned out of foster care at 18 that no longer have anywhere to go. We have families that happen to fall on hard times that are now sleeping in their cars. So these are different things that we have to identify. We can't address homelessness as it's one big issue. We have to identify how we're going to help these people. One thing I said earlier is to bring a shelter in. We have to bring a shelter in so that we can make it legal to live on the streets. Another idea is there's a garage conversion program that allows you up to $50,000 to convert your garage into a living place for a single family home. You can charge up to $1,000 a month to live there. That grant starts off as loan is forgiven after 15 years. That's another way. Lastly, I have identified a investment program or investment opportunities for the people that's most affected by homelessness. I don't know how much time I have to kind of go into it, but I would love to kind of touch on it. And it's simple. It's small homes. They're called boxables. They're 20 by 20 homes. They're 9 foot tall. They're fully furnished. They're $50,000 a piece. If we all bought one in here, bought a piece of land, put them all on this land, and we provided a program for these people to live in these homes. This program allows you to stay here for 12 months. In this 12 months, you have NA classes, AA classes, job training, you have yoga, you have just all these different resources for these people to get acclimated back to getting into society. So it's a little more extensive. I know I don't have enough time, it's 30 seconds stuff, but that's what it is. Thank you.
So there are homeless organizations like LASA who does the work throughout LA County and beyond, right? So I will continue to partner with them. I have conversations with our houseless neighbors, and what we understand is that they are dealing with drug abuse, but it goes deeper than that. A lot of people are on the street because they aged out of the foster care system. Some people are on the street because at the age of 15, they were put out of their family homes based on who they chose to love. There are people that are on the streets because a pandemic hit, they could not pay their bills, the city offered no alternative for them or any support, and that was their next step, to be in their car. Then their cars are towed. So we have a mental health challenge, right? We have a drug abuse challenge. Then we have the challenge of finding walls for them to sleep in safely. There's an idea of mobile units, right? There's an idea of small box projects to put them in, but Oftentimes, if you are a vet and now you're sleeping out on Compton streets, that is a trigger for you from the jail cells, right? From being in wars. So we have to identify those issues, and we have to identify those issues accordingly. Another thing dealing with our houseless neighbors is understanding that we have to teach them life skills. We can put them in a house, but are they going to sustain that house if they can't balance a budget, don't know how to cook a proper meal, don't know the nutritions to cook within that meal, and more?
Does anybody want to add? 30 seconds.
I'm not sure I got a plan from that at all. I'm not sure there was an actual plan up there. We did identify some things there, but there wasn't an actual plan of action. So the plan of action for me is to actually bring in these resources, and I've identified those resources. Then just identify where they're going or who they're going to, but identify what they're going to be and how we're going to accomplish that. So I appreciate the idea of identifying those things, but we have to have a plan of action to take course.
I don't want to go to the Google definition of plans, right? But we mentioned the organization LASA, who does it. We mentioned the different variables and how we need to approach it accordingly. You know, if there was one plan to solve everything across the board, then we wouldn't have a houseless issue to begin with.
Okay, so our last couple of questions are going to be based on character. The first one is, if you do not get elected this election, how do you plan to work with the person who does? Okay, we'll start here.
You know, I started going to meetings back in 2017, and I kept going, and for the most part, I like them. Some of them are must-watch TV, the infighting, the bickering, it's entertaining, and some of them are really informative. But I've said, since the first forum to now, whoever wins, I would love to I'm going to still keep going to city council meetings. And because I feel some level of connection with these guys, for seeing them for the past 8 weeks, I feel like now I have access to saying, Mr. Perry, let me talk to you. Christian, let me talk to you. So I plan to still be involved. And not for my own personal gain, but if an issue I have gets addressed, it helps my neighbors. It helps my district. It helps other parts of the city. So I plan to still be involved, win, lose, or draw. And I think everyone feels that same way. I don't think we're going to be sore losers, but I'm definitely looking forward to being interactive with these young men. Because I'm an old guy up here.
All right, thank you. I briefly said, I touched on it in my very intro. I got into politics 3 years ago when I first ran for office. I actually ran for Compton School Board. I lost, and that's okay, but I kept fighting. And I said that to say is I seen a problem, and we still have a problem. So if I shall lose, and I'm not claiming defeat, because I truly believe I am the best candidate and the best fit for Compton right now, but if I shall lose, and unless the next person wave a magic wand and everything get fixed overnight, I'm not going to stop. Being the next mayor is just going to elevate me to help more people. I became a teacher to help our children. I became a volunteer basketball coach to help our children. I'm a chairman of the African American Parent Advisory Committee because I seen a need in the African American community. And so I addressed it. I'm not going anywhere. I have a 3, 8, and a 9-year-old. So unless we wave a magic wand and everything gets fixed overnight, Anthony Perry is here to stay, and I'm just getting started. And as your next mayor, I will elevate other leaders. I will work with the other candidates, and we will repair Compton moving forward. Thank you.
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, so the question is, if you do not get elected this election, how do you plan to keep, is that even, you made me forget the question. Yes, I am so sorry. How do you plan to support the person that does get elected if you don't get elected?
Great question. So I've been attending council meetings for about 17 years. I'm not new to Compton politics. Like I mentioned, I am a commissioner in the city, and I've done a lot of work already. We can talk about that later because I only have 1 minute. But long story short, if I don't get elected, nothing's going to change because a lot of the things that I've already done and want to continue doing, I can do whether I'm mayor or not. So I will continue being Christian Reinaga, somebody who loves God and loves people. And whoever the next mayor is, I will make sure that all of my supporters, all of my team fully serves him or her. I am just here to be a blessing. That's how I am, whether I'm mayor or not. So whoever the next mayor may be, I hope and pray that it's me. But if it's me, I will reach out to every candidate and give them a spot, give them a platform, give them an opportunity to serve. And if it's not me, whoever it is, well, praise God. Let's get to work because we have so much work to do. And I'm not after the title of being mayor. That's the least thing I care about. What I care about is moving Compton forward. What I care about is our mothers not having to go through what they've been going through for the past 20 years. What I care about is my future children and my nephew not having to grow up in the Compton that I was raised in. What I care about is these property taxes being used for what they've been designed to do. So all of that we can do whether I'm mayor or not. So for me, I've already seen a victory. Thank you.
Well, I'm pro Compton, so, and what that means is no matter what, I'm going to be doing what's best for my community. I've already been doing that. I've invested in my community in several different ways. I have 3 different businesses in my community. That's going to help out my, whoever is the council person as we're cleaning up the district. I've already been held as the 2019 Unsung Hero of the 64th District for the work that I've done. So who Andre Spicer is, I will continue to be. Nothing will change. I'm going to consistently help to build up my community, clean up my community physically with my own hands, with my ideas, with my thoughts, with my businesses. I'm going to continue to clean up my community and my district. So that's what I want to do. To win, lose, or draw, I'm going to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you this, I am not a quitter. I don't quit on the youth as a youth pastor. As an advocate for the seniors, I do not quit on them. I stand on their shoulders, I respect them. I will not and have not quit on the city of Compton, and I will not quit after this election, no matter what God decides. Moving forward, I understand that in the midst of those fires, I happen to be there to assist the seniors with their walkers getting out of harm's way. I understand that when a car drove into the side of the Palacios Martinez household and the rubble fell on their 2-year-old toddler, I happened to be there to pull him from the rubble. I happened to be there. At City Hall, I want to purposely be there. But if I happen not to be sitting in the seat, I will purposely be there to make sure that I'm advocating on behalf of the city council person, because that person's success is our success. I'm not sitting here because I want the glory. The glory goes to God, right? I want to make sure that we, the people, are taken care of, leading out of love, leading out of respect. That doesn't stop because the ballots didn't turn up in my favor. The prayer is that the ballots will. And that is important for everyone to understand and to learn, whether you're 1, 100, and beyond. I am not a quitter. I am not going to quit on you.
There is, I would say, a lot of pettiness in politics, and it doesn't stop with the pettiness in our Compton politics. We've touched on the basis of if you lose, what would you do? But if you do win, how do you plan to not add on to that pettiness in our politics and be an actual representative and not have Compton seem as this gangbanger, going at one another in the council at each other? Like, how do you plan to represent us better?
I'm going to be professional at all times, and at all times be professional. Keep Compton first, keep my residents first, and always be logical and forgiving and easy to talk to. So that's what I want to bring to the table. I bring teamwork. I've been doing that my entire life. I work with a team, and I'm happy to do it. So, and I don't have to like everybody, but if we all have the same interests, if we all believe in one Compton. If we all are pro-Compton, we should be able to communicate and meet on certain levels.
As a, good?
Great.
As a true professional, you know, you won't have to worry about me cursing out our seniors or not respecting the youth's opinions about the city of what we should do. I love the youth council, right? In this election, I've been bullied on social media, even as early as today, right? People have come to my home, left remarks on my car. The sheriff department has come onto my home even today because of the words that are being utilized through social media to discredit me in all types of ways. What have I done? I've prayed. I prayed for those who are targeting me. I prayed for every candidate in every race. And I've made sure that I held my feet to the fire by being professional. That's what you're gonna get from me. I'm gonna work with whoever is put in whoever's seat to work with to move the city forward, because it's not about me. It is my name on the ballot, but this is your election. Bully me all you want, say everything that you want, smear all the lies that you want. It does not harm me. All you're doing is separating this city, and you're proving that what they have not wanted for so long is what you're doing right now, and it is not helping your candidate. If we're gonna work together, we need to unify together, and that does not mean utilizing derogatory terms against other people. Lead out of respect, lead out of love, put the people first every step of the way. I don't have to hit you back. God has that.
So I've mentioned I've been going to council meetings for over 17 years. I was raised in Compton politics, and this is probably my favorite question anybody has ever asked me throughout this whole campaign, because the number one issue in Compton is Compton politics. This hate, the lies, the jealousy, the rumors. I'm experiencing it myself. Jace touched a bit about what he's going through. We've all been through it. It's just so sad. You know, I grew up going to council meetings because they were worse than Jerry Springer shows. Novelas are, you know, our council meetings are worse than novelas, soap operas. And, you know, I came into this election and people are saying some crazy stuff about me. People are stalking me, following. It's crazy, right? But unfortunately, I'm not surprised. It doesn't even faze me, because being raised in Compton politics, I expected this. And this has to end, and this has to stop, and it's gonna start with Gen Z, with all of you. And Compton history always repeats itself. And my goal when elected mayor is to stop it, because this is ridiculous. When I signed up, I had to have a family meeting until my family was about to go down, because I expected it. And it breaks my heart that as a little kid, I witnessed all of this, and it's still going on years later. And it seems to not stop. And it's gotten so bad and so ugly. And unfortunately, it's been worse. It's been worse. I've seen what's happened to other candidates, what I'm going through, and this has to stop. This is the number one issue in Compton, is the division and the hate, the lies, and it has to stop because we're hurting each other.
Thank you.
Yes, as a natural leader, the very first thing that I posted on social media when this election started was a Perry promise. And that's saying I wasn't going to attack any candidates or even respond to anything negative and going back and forth, because it's important that we do repair our image. And it's also about bringing everybody up. It's important that we take care of our senior citizens and treating them with double royalty. It's important that we build up our business owners and our homeowners to ensure that they can invest in their homes and see their property values go up, and we can ensure that our business owners, that they are getting the support that they need from the city. And most importantly, I like to work with my second chance constituents. I had a gentleman say, "Why are you working with them guys? Most of those guys don't even vote." And I said, "I'm working with these gentlemen so I can keep them off of our backs." I was talking to one of my second chance constituents, and he told me straight to my face, he said, "Hey, if I don't make no money, I don't get no eat, then I'm gonna rob you," pointing to me. And so I tell everyone, the reason why every Fortune 500 company is successful is because they value every single employee, from the president, from the janitor. And as your next mayor, I will work with our second chance constituents because secretly they control part of our city. And some of our elected officials are naive to not see that. And once I bring these gentlemen up and get them jobs and they leave crime, our image will help repair itself. Thank you.
To answer your question, the first thing I'm not going to do is attack anyone on Facebook, on social media. I'm not going to go in on people who I don't like, be it my fellow council members or someone from the public who called me out on an issue. I'm not going to be Twitter fingers and all that, going hard behind a keyboard. I don't move like that. You can go to my page right now. I don't attack people right now. I don't use profanity right now. I don't do things that demean women or other ethnic groups because it's a bad look. So for me, continuing how I move on social media will be the same. If I have an issue with somebody, maybe because how I was raised, like probably most of us were raised, I'm gonna go to you. The whole world doesn't have to know that you and I have a problem. Handle behind closed doors, conversation. So when we get in public and now when it's time for a debate, I'm already knowing where he's going to stand because what he's going to say because he shared it with me already. And vice versa. Keeping the personal issues out of the situation. If you're about Compton, you care about Compton. You might not agree with me. I might not agree with him. But if I keep it respectful, at the end of the day, we can shake hands, break bread, go home. Staying off of social media negatively is key. And unfortunately, we've seen current officials not do that. And that's a problem.
Do we have time?
30 seconds.
And also, we don't understand the damage that this does. It spews hatred, and it's important to keep each other safe. We're interviewing for a job to represent all of you. Just like in school, you may bully somebody on how they look. They could easily go home and commit suicide. In our situation, people are targeting, well, in my situation, people are targeting and attacking myself and my staff, and there's no need for that. We're just trying to do the best job that we can for the city of Compton, not to bring harm to anyone and to keep everyone safe.
I do want to share something. Facebook has become so toxic. The first thing I'll do when elected is delete my Facebook because it's so toxic. And I don't got time for it. It's, you got people who will call you out on comments and then I'll message them. They don't even want to talk. They just want, I don't know what's going on with these comments. It's crazy. But I will just share this to anybody viewing this, to our youth. This has to stop with us. It has to stop with the new generation because this has been going on way before I was even born. And like I said, the number one issue in Compton is Compton politics, and it has to stop.
So we're just going to open the space up. You guys touched on everything. Compton politics is messy. Politics in general is just very messy. You guys have mentioned rumors being brought up, stuff that may not have been true, but is out there in the public. So we just want to give an open space if you guys have anything you guys want to address personally, just something that you want to bring up to the audience and to everybody watching, something you want to clear up. Anybody? Okay.
The rumors about me being a Cowboys fan is true. I hate the Clippers, no lie. I hate the Eagles. I'm sorry. Outside of that, I'm the kind of person, if someone said something about me and someone has, I'll go to them directly. I don't have time for he said, she said, because you're going to believe what you believe. So at the end of the day, I tell everybody my phone number, my email address, my Facebook, Rodney Lister, my Instagram, Big Rod 90220. You can find me, inbox me. If a person doesn't have the courage to speak to me directly, I don't care about that. So those things about Cowboys fans, America's team, hate the Clippers and Eagles, those are true statements. I'll find that and
I will share that, first of all, if anybody ever has any questions or concerns, I'm an open book. You can come to me directly. I'll answer any question or concern. There's so many, it's so sad. I had somebody email me some information about a certain candidate with hopes that I was gonna run with it, which was just all lies. I never even entertained it. So I will want to share this. The Bible says that the devil is the father of lies. That's how the devil operates. You look at Joseph in the Bible, he was falsely accused. And so many stories all throughout the Bible and all throughout, this is nothing new. Like she said, politics in general is dirty. So I would just want to share with everybody, whatever you hear or see, don't believe it. Ask the candidate, ask them directly, look at the receipts, look at the proof, use your head logically, because half of the stuff you see on Facebook is just toxic hate, and it comes from the devil, which is the father of lies, because the truth sets you free. And like I said, that's the problem in Compton, nothing but lies. And I will say one thing else, just so you know, moving forward, when a candidate has a clean record and nothing bad to say about them, that's usually the candidate they'll make up the most craziest things about, So you have to be very cautious of what you hear, because I've seen it happen to so many people. A lot of the stuff, half the stuff you see on Facebook and everything is all lies. And then one more thing, these articles that you see on news and comments, they purposely put deceitful headlines to get the clicks and the likes. It happened to me. Mayor Brown endorsed me, and somebody wrote an article saying she appointed me, and people thinking I'm the mayor already, like that I got appointed because somebody wrote an article saying, this word on the street, this guy got appointed or something along those lines. So be very careful on headlines. Be very careful with hashtags, because it's just nothing but lies.
And then for me, I would like to say that in order for me to build up my name here in the city as a reputable personality, radio personality, or media personality, it's all been based off of delivering facts, delivering receipts, delivering actual tangible receipts. So you don't say things that people might not always like what you have to say, but if there's an actual fact behind it, or even if you're talking about me, if they're bringing it up, just ask for the facts, ask for the receipts. If there's no receipts, there's no crime. So in the case that there are receipts, those things have to be exposed and talked about, because this is, again, our community, and we have to govern and be the gatekeeper for our community. So some of the things that we do here, unfortunately, it is ugly. Unfortunately, it is nasty. But if it's true, it needs to be talked about. Thank you.
Thanks for this opportunity. So I made a video producing transcripts, producing diplomas, because my education has been in question since the beginning, right? I am not the type of person to continue to address every single fire that comes out, because that's a distraction. That is not cleaning our cemeteries, cleaning up our streets, cleaning up our finances, and cleaning up City Hall. That's a distraction if I have to stop what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis to handle every single attack that comes my way. If you have a question or you want to see something, please do what the seniors in the community have been doing since November of last year. Contact me. Go to my social media. I'm most responsive on Instagram. That's Jace for You, JACEFORYOU. I'll give you my phone number. We can stand outside of my home, have tea, coffee, and yes, I do live in the city of Compton. And if someone wants to say that I don't, please refund me all of the money that I've spent these last couple of years on taxes, on my rent, on my light bill, whatever it is. Please, I implore you to do so.
Yes, and I'd just like to say I've been very blessed. I haven't seen my name in pretty much too much of nothing. And I hope it don't change. Somebody start making up stuff for me. But it's very important that we carry ourselves with the utmost dignity. And as a school teacher, I have kids' parents watching, and probably kids watching and things like that. So it is important that everything that we say as leaders, that our children are watching, the younger generation is watching, and we also do not want to show our younger generation this is how we carry each other, carry ourselves. And so as your next mayor, I will always represent our constituents and always carry myself individually with the utmost respect. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh. Before we end off, we do want to open the floor to the audience, see if you guys have any questions for the candidates.
Oh, I do.
So, I have a question, Andre Spicer. Can you give me a little bit more information on what happened to the case to the, as far as you selling marijuana to youth? And your drug deals that, has been expunged because your mom and your dad are affiliated with, the sheriff's department? Can you?
Sure, I'd love
And I
to.
know that they've been erased off of Google too, so you can't look it up, but we can go to the sheriff department and get this information.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that.
And he don't live in the city of Compton either. No, he doesn't, he uses his mom's address.
Hold on, Dre. Fred, ma'am, no disrespect at all.
I just want to ask,
No, ma'am,
I know I should be
but,
able to address
no,
that.
but I don't feel comfortable with that being answered. That's something personal, brother. I mean,
No, please, let me address that. I absolutely,
I don't think that's space.
I don't think there's space for it. Ma'am, I'm quite sure that he'll answer it one-on-one if he wants to, but I just think right now, amongst us, and your question is very legitimate.
yeah, but the thing is, she actually just accused me of selling drugs to
no,
kids
because it was a family.
Okay,
on
but-
the forum with kids. I think that was something we should actually talk about. Again, because it's not an actual fact.
Right?
It's not an actual fact. No one's actually brought that up. No one's, I mean, again, we're talking about rumors, right? So again, there's no actual fact. No one can actually put any receipts out. It's just a woman speaking out. I mean, I can make up any kind of different thing. We can say that she's not here. You know, it's just not true. You know, you just can come up with anything. So have I sold drugs? No. Drugs to youth? No. Any record? No. Can you find one? No, there's no record. And they've been talking about this for several years. I don't have a record. If you can look it up, go for it. So you can go to the sheriff department. You should have done that then
I've
already.
already
before.
done that, sir. I
You
have
should
the
put it out there. You should definitely put it out so that we can address what that is. I'll love to address it if you have it. But if you don't, what are you talking about?
Don't worry, I have it.
Okay. So no, there is no record. There's no drug sales. I don't know where that came from. Apparently, she doesn't support me.
No, it's not about supporting you. I mean, if I find you to be the candidate, I can still support you, but it depends. But I wouldn't want somebody like you in
If you could have something to stand on, we could address it. But you don't have anything to
I
stand
have
on.
that. I do have that.
Show it.
And they can get the information.
No, I'm asking you to show
I
it.
don't have that with me, this is the last
What are we
thing,
talking
but I
about?
have the information.
I would
Okay.
love if we were able to move on.
Okay, yeah,
That would
let's
be
move on.
great.
Let's move on.
Thank you. Any additional questions? No.
I want to share something. So, we heard that right now. I just ask that we all don't repeat it, don't go tweet it, don't go do it, because that's part of the problem. It's like the telephone where you tell somebody one thing, somebody here can go home and say, Dre sold drugs to somebody young, and then somebody can run with that and people start screenshotting it. And that is the problem in Compton. That is the real issue in Compton. We just got a perfect example. So I'm asking everybody here right now, that's the issue. With all due respect, she said he doesn't live here. I've been to his business. I'm not defending him. She said he doesn't live here. Somebody can run with that and tweet it. So I'm just saying, I ask that we all just keep it. Don't share anything unless you know it's the truth. Please, because that's the issue.
And just, we host this forum to get information out to the community so they can be informed and make good decisions. We are not here to attack anyone. I mean, and I think that you have your right to ask that, but I think that if you are gonna bring something like that up, I think that it's irresponsible to bring it up and not bring the stuff that you say you have. Because if I'm gonna do something like that, I'm coming all the way full with it.
Well, I can submit
But
information
listen what I'm
with you.
saying. But what you did, because see, these are young people here, and I'm gonna always protect them. That's not how you do anything.
Okay, I apologize.
And so if
Maybe
in
I
fact,
should've
but
worded
if in fact you do, you should be extremely thorough.
I can.
So to accuse him, and we're running all these things live, it's like people in court. They say it knowing it's gonna be overruled.
Oh, see, I didn't know.
But
I
you see all the
apologize.
cameras.
Okay, but I didn't know.
No,
Okay, I wasn't paying
wait 1 second. No, you see all these cameras.
I have the information.
You see all these cameras, so you can't say you know it's being recorded.
Well, I have the
So
information.
I'm saying to you, and to all you young people, do not ever try to put something out just to get it out there. Because if it's really that important, if it's really that true, it's nowhere in the world you're not bringing that with you. Okay? So if it, oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
The word of the night is respect.
Yes. Was there a question?
Was there any questions on the live? Are we good? Respectful questions on the live?
There's a live question? I
Ooh.
cannot read that. Okay, focus, okay.
We have a question from the live. The question is, what is your biggest focus besides beautification?
For me, it's public safety. It's the first thing we have to do in the city of Compton before we can do anything. So my platform is public safety, economic development, housing, and culture. Before we can do anything, we have to be safe in doing it. So we have to bridge. For me, we have to partner, have a community partnership with law enforcement, so that we can know how to, so we can talk about how to police our community. Some things that are policed are important to us in our community. So I'll give an example. The prostitution isn't heavily policed, but pulling me over for fitting the description is heavily policed. So it's different things like that that we want to address. And then we talk about structural issues and blight and these different things. So for me, it's public safety first.
Yes, thank you. For me, one of my very first things, not to go down the list, is building our small businesses and creating businesses and giving entrepreneurs an opportunity. A lot of our problems comes from we do not have the money. Small businesses is the backbone of Compton. Small businesses is the backbone of many families. Small businesses and creating businesses for entrepreneurs gives us a sense of ownership. There's many of us that don't want to clock in from 9 to 5. It's some of us that want to work for ourselves to generate our own income. There's many, we all heard this term, there's go-getters. You know, it's people that want to be entrepreneurs. And I believe if we continue to build our small businesses and create more businesses, we will generate more income, so we can get to the much talked about fixing our roads, street lights. But it all starts with building our small businesses and giving them support from our city. Thank you.
For me, budget, deficit, finding out where the money is, because the reality is you can't do anything, the great programs that we all have, without money and identifying what's there. Secondly, for me, economic development, redevelopment, all the districts, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because the things that are needed in my district, where I live, are different things from the district you guys are running for. Equally important though, prioritizing those things. Having everyone on council work together saying, District 2 goes first, District 1 goes last. Because those type of projects, and have everybody be good with that. Reducing infighting, then the law enforcement issue. Policing, community policing, respect for policing, and how we can bridge that schism that's currently there that none of us created, that we're gonna all have to fix. So that's my top 3.
Thank you, great question. For me, it'll be love and unity. That'll be the biggest focus because I've said it and I'll continue to say it. The biggest issue in Compton is what we just witnessed. With all due respect, because she had a right to ask that question, but that is the biggest issue in our city. It's attack, it's hate, it's division, smearing, assumptions, and Facebook comments, and toxic, and just negativity. That's the biggest issue in the city of Compton. So how do we go against that? Love and unity, simple as that. Also listening to the residents' concerns, listening to each other. If somebody has an accusation to make about somebody, ask them and listen to their response and then go from there. So listening is very important because we've all experienced some form of neglect from City Hall. So I will always just listen. I always say this, doing right from wrong is simple. It's common sense. All you have to do is listen. it shouldn't be so hard to figure out what's right from wrong. So my biggest focus will be love and unity and listening to every resident, every concern.
So present and effective leadership. I think it's important that the leaders in our community are present, and I hope that that is infectious on the council. We noticed that there's an absentee leadership here in the 2nd District. I think it's important that we see our leader at our community cleanups. I think it's important that not just during election time, that we knock on doors to check on our residents and not just look at them as constituents. It's important that we are effective. Let's say that we've already started to right the wrongs of all the issues here in Compton, then we have to be effective with our follow through. That means transparency. Hey, we talked about cleaning up Compton. Here's why we're stopped at the moment. We have to pass this first, or here's where we are in the process. To me, being present and effective are just as important.
Oh, you went? Okay. Oh, that's it.
Thank you again. That concludes our first debate ever. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to the camera people, the people behind the lives, the people who helped set up. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the candidates. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the sound. Man, where are you at? Oh, there you are. Thank you, and
To Mike.
again, thank you to Mike back there. Thank you to Monty back here doing the timer for you guys. You know you guys go overboard sometimes. Thank you for everyone that's on the live, and Tanae doing, I don't know what she does back there. And just, again, thank you all for being here, and this was our first debate ever, and we really enjoyed it, and thank you for this experience. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good luck, guys.
You guys are great, thank you.
I did want to share that I am asking each and every one of you for your vote and support. Please visit my website, unitecompton.com. Again, unitecompton.com.
Everybody should give your website and your social media.
Okay, thank you. You can find me at anthonyperry.org, www.anthonyperry.org, and I do ask for your vote, I do ask for your support, thank you.
My name is Andre Spicer. I am a District 2 Council candidate, and I need you to vote for me. I'm number 4 on the ballot. My website is andrespicer4hubcity.com. Thank you.
Jace Dawson, City Council 2nd District. I'm asking for your vote. I am number 1 on your ballot. It will be the honor of my life to represent you at City Hall. I love you, Compton, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm Christian Renaga. My website is unitecompton.com. Please subscribe to my website so that we can connect. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I am asking you to please vote and support me. If elected mayor, I won't let you down. Thank you.
Rodney Lister, mayoral candidate. Website is www.lister4mayor.com. Give me a call.
Okay. Thank you, guys. You guys.